Right. All right, guys, I am here. Thank you for your patience. I'm sorry. The stream did not start on time because I had a projected roster on the PowerPoint. The stream comes out. I have to go fiddle with the players, change names, try to not make any mistakes on the names and the clubs and the caps and all of that. And there were some unexpected names on here. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting. I am here now. The U.S. Olympic roster, the men's Olympic roster for Paris 2024. Final training camp has dropped. Okay, this is not the Olympic roster. Now, look, I know this can be confusing. It's very confusing. The whole Olympic thing is confusing as fuck for a lot of people. So I'll try to clarify and articulate some things so everybody can understand. This is not the Olympic roster. This is the final training camp before the Olympic roster will be announced sometime in July. Now, remember, the Olympics doesn't start until late July, all right? So it's not for another, almost 2 months. But we will have this final training camp roster, and there will be a game against Japan, a friendly game, a prep game against Japan on June 11th, which is basically what this roster is for, okay? So this roster will play that game. Now, there's one overage player on this roster, that's Walker Zimmerman. Doesn't mean we're only going to take one overage player to the Olympics. I'll talk about this roster as we go along. But it's an interesting roster. There's some very, very surprising names left off and some quite surprising names included as well. Okay, now that doesn't mean this is what's going to happen for the Olympics. I think what makes the Olympics so difficult to analyze, particularly when it comes to rosters, is the fact that we don't know who was denied by their clubs. Like FIFA, it's not a FIFA recognized tournament, right? We know this. So a lot of clubs don't have to release players the way they do for, Copa America or the World Cup or the Gold Cup or the Nations League or whatever else. They don't have to release players. So it's really hard to know, okay, who didn't get released and who was snubbed. Okay, I'll try to make educated guesses based on evidence and data that we have. But it is very, very difficult to say. Now, Marko Mitrovic, the coach, is going to do a press conference at 3 p.m. I don't know why they're waiting so long. Maybe he'll talk about some things. Maybe he won't. But I will, try to give you my best analysis of this roster. It's not terrible, obviously, as a training camp roster, and obviously take into consideration who's available, who's injured, who's not. But there really are some shocking names left out of it, and there are some shocking names included. But before we get into it, guys, we do have a quick word from our sponsor.
Sports is back with a new.
Sorry. For whatever reason, it doesn't start right.
Underdog Fantasy Sports is back with a new and improved pick'em game across all sports that makes it easy to play fantasy sports with just a few clicks. Each sport allows you to build a parlay that includes between 2 and 5 predictions about the outcomes of player projections. As you would expect, the more picks you include, the greater the potential payout. Don't go crazy with it and play responsibly, but adding a few bucks here and there to a game gives it a little more excitement and stakes. Use my promo code 11YANKS or click the link in the description to start playing, and Underdog will match whatever you put in your account up to $100. Enjoy!
$250 now. Thank you, Underdog Sports. They will match up to $250 now. All right, so we have a quick super chat here. Thank you, Clampack SC. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this. Nothing says U.S. soccer like Cade Cowell over Diego Luna. Yeah, I agree with you. We'll talk about that. It's possible that Luna was not. It's possible that Luna was not released. Okay, but I don't think so, based on comments that RSL's coach made earlier in the season. Okay, but I'll talk about it as well. Let's dive right into the roster, because that's what people came to see, not me running my mouth. Okay, so for a 25-man roster, 2 goalkeepers makes no sense to me. Look, I understand we have to take 2 goalkeepers to the Olympics. But keep in mind, there will also be 4 players on that Olympic roster that are considered alternates. So 18 go, and then there are 4 alternates. One of those 4 has to be a goalkeeper. Now, I'll just clarify. Those alternates can train with the team. They're there. They're at the Olympics the whole time. And they can only be, they're just not in game day rosters. But they can be brought in if a player is injured enough to be out of the tournament completely and sent home. Okay? So it's not like, let's say, so-and-so gets a knock and they're out for one game. No, they can't replace them in the roster for one game. They can only replace players who are out, injured, gone, boom. What I don't understand, why not just have a 22-man roster then? Like, it doesn't make any sense. What are those 4 guys doing there? Like, Olympics, you're fucking crazy. What are they doing there then? It's like, you want these guys there to take their whole summer off and be at the Olympics and they may never get to play, but in case they need to play, just fucking let them play. Make it 22. Anyways, don't get me started on the Olympics. Olympics is an ancient sport still run by morons. All right, so the goalkeepers are Gabriel Slonina and Patrick Schulte. What I don't understand is why didn't we call in Chris Brady for at least this training camp to have him try to compete with Gabriel Slonina and Patrick Schulte? Maybe Chicago Fire said no. I don't know. The Fire are a bit of a dumpster fire, and learning how to, be more and more shit every day with Chicago can't possibly be better than being with this Olympic team. So I don't know if they just didn't call him in or if Chicago Fire said no, but very likely 99.9% if they are healthy, these two will go to the Olympics as our 2 keepers. Now the question is, who's going to start? It'll be interesting to see who starts against Japan. For my money, I'd probably start Patrick Schulte. Probably. Because I think he's a little bit more reliable right now, but we will see. Let's get into the fullbacks. The fullbacks are about what you would expect. The 2 right backs are Nathan Harriel of the Philadelphia Union and Brian Reynolds. And then the 2 left backs are John Tolkien and Caleb Wiley. No spot for either Nathaniel Brown or Jonathan Gomez. All right. So 2 interesting, misses there. Look, this is my reaction to these fullbacks. None of them are amazing players. None of them are awful. How they hold their own in the Olympics remains to be seen. I just don't, outside of Brian Reynolds, I don't have high hopes for any of these guys in terms of a long-term future, right, with the national team, particularly not John Tolkien or Nathan Harriel. Nathan Harriel's already 23 years old. Like, this guy's a full-on pro. John Tolkien, I don't really rate him. Caleb Wiley, bit stagnated a little bit this season ever since Andrew Gutman left. They're like, these are probably the 4. I probably would have brought Gomez over a guy like Tolkien, but I don't think the gap is really that big between any of these guys to get too excited about any of them. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what we have right now as far as under 23 fullbacks go. And I'll be honest, it isn't great. Center backs, and this is a real problem area for the under 23s. Okay. This is a real problem because we don't have enough under 23 center backs, right? Maximilian Dietz might have been in this roster, but he's injured at the moment. So we'll see if he makes that final roster. Walker Zimmerman is the only overage player on this roster. And I don't know why they only brought 1. It's possible the other guys they wanted to bring didn't get released. The big snub here in terms of overage players is Austin Trusty. Why is Austin Trusty not here? Is it because Sheffield already said they won't let him go to the Olympics and they feel like there's no point in calling up for this camp? There's no soccer going. The Premier League is done. Why is he not there? The only reason that would make sense for Trusty to not be in this roster and the Olympic roster is if Sheffield United refused to release him for the Olympics. They're going to be back in the championship next season. If they're smart, they let Trusty go. And if he performs well, maybe some team comes in with a big offer. He's getting married is not a good excuse. This is the Olympics. This is once in a lifetime opportunity. You can get married at other times, Austin. No, I'm joking. I don't know what he's doing there. He also just got engaged like 3 days ago. He's not getting married this summer. There's no way he's getting married this summer. He literally just got engaged. So you guys know how this is. Anybody who's gotten married, you get engaged and it takes like 3.5 years to plan the wedding while your girl drains the bank of your money, for 3.5 years, trying to have a dream picture wedding that she isn't even going to enjoy and is just going to be depressed the next day because her fairy tale. Anyways, Jalen Neal, good to see him back. Probably the only real, option as an under 23 center back. We don't have a lot of other under 23 center backs. With Dietz being injured, Neal is probably the guy. Jonathan Tompkinson, I don't understand why we're bringing. I understand why we're bringing him because we literally have so few options. But guys, Jonathan Tompkinson, I put at the club as Norwich City. But he didn't play for Norwich City this season. He played in the second division, the fourth division of England, League Two, for Bradford City. Okay, we're talking about Wrexham level. And he's 22. It's not like this is a teenager. This is a 22-year-old. He's playing. To me, it's a little sad, right? It's a little sad that Jonathan Tompkinson, that we're reaching that far down the English soccer pyramid to bring in fourth division center backs because we have so few options. I hope Jonathan Tompkinson is not on that roster. Hopefully it's Trusty Zimmerman and Neal, or Trusty Zimmerman and Dietz. But if Trusty can't go, then hopefully it's Zimmerman, Neal, and potentially Dietz if he's back. According to FOTMob, he will be back early June. Josh Winder is injured right now, Martin Casquera. Wrexham is League One now. Did they get promoted again? Yeah, they did. Exactly. This guy is playing below Wrexham's level. Below. Yes, I advocated for Maloney, Ryan Green. I advocated for Leonard Maloney to be there. I did. However, they apparently do not feel the same way over at US Soccer. So these are the three center backs. Hopefully it's going to be Neal and Zimmerman starting together against Japan. Neal is that guy who can distribute on the ball, right? Which is really great to see. Midfielders is quite interesting, okay? By the way, Josh Winder, still U20 eligible, so still will be eligible for that Under-20 World Cup and the Under-20 CONCACAF Championship this summer, which is also happening. We got 3 age groups playing competitive tournaments this summer. So, boy, there's going to be a lot of Pete and Tack saying nonsense. All right, so midfielders, we have Ben Kremaski of Inter Miami, another guy who, by the way, is Olympic eligible, under-20 eligible still. If we get all the under-20 eligible guys to play in that under-20 CONCACAF Championship and potentially under-20 World Cup, we're going to have a very strong roster. Jack McGlynn is there, obviously, well-deserved. Busio and Tessman are there. So I should clarify, Busio and Tessman are in the middle of a promotion dogfight in Serie B. Their final game is June 2nd. So they will not link up in this camp until after June 2nd. Aiden Morris having a very good season with the Columbus Crew. I had high hopes for Aiden Morris, but ever since he came back from his injury, his ACL, he really hasn't been the same player. He's still great on the ball, but really does struggle, guys, at times in transition. Honestly, also struggles under real pressure. Remember, sixes in MLS don't get a lot. They get a lot of time on the ball, and he's fine in that case. But when you really press him on the half turn, he can be very, very sloppy. Rokas Pukstas, the 19-year-old, had a decent season for Hajduk Split. He is there. And then you have Cole Bassett, who not only needs to learn how to smile for a picture. Cole Bassett's an interesting one, right? We all saw him flop in the Eredivisie for 2 separate clubs and is back in MLS now, doing quite well for the Rapids. I think he's got 5 goals and 3 assists for the Rapids so far in MLS. I don't really, I don't really rate Cole Bassett long-term. In fact, a lot of this roster I don't really rate long-term. But it's a training camp. If he balls out against Japan, you never know. He could be there. The big snub here, guys. I mean, there's several snubs. Guti, you could say, is a snub. I don't know if Guti has done enough with the dumpster fire to really earn a spot necessarily on this team. You could say Obed Vargas and Josh Atencio were guys who could have been in contention. Maybe you could make a case for them. I don't think they've outperformed Tessman or Morris, who are kind of the sixes at this level. So it's hard to make a strong case for either of those guys. The big one, obviously, is Diego Luna. And I don't understand Diego Luna not being here at all. The only thing that really makes sense with Diego Luna is that the RSL said no. But earlier this season, RSL's coach, Italian name that I do not remember, he said, look, Olympics are going to build around Diego Luna. And so it seems unlikely that he would then say, no, you can't have Diego Luna for this camp. Unless, let me speculate wildly here, and I have no information. I'm just speculating. The only thing that makes sense would be this. Hey, look, we're fine with Luna going to the Olympics, but we would like to keep him for this camp. So we'll let him go to the Olympics. Just please don't take him for this camp. That would be the only thing that makes sense to me. Because as we will see, some of the players in the next slide, there's no way Diego Luna shouldn't be here. He started the season a little slowly, but he's since picked up, has 3 goals and 3 assists, has been a very good player. He has that unpredictability factor, that creative, unpredictable factor that I think you need one of in every roster. And so it would make absolutely no sense for him to not be there, in my opinion. He's always been in rosters before, even got called in by Greg Berhalter for that January camp roster. So I have to believe this is a club decision to not let him go. Hopefully they let him go to the Olympic roster, because for me, Luna is a must-have. You know who's not a must-have? Guys, if there are anything in life that I would like to wish you, if it is your birthday, if it is New Year, if it is special occasion, if you are to find true love in this world, let me wish upon you, with all the love in my heart, that you find somebody who loves you as much as U.S. Soccer loves Cade Cowell. Cade Cowell, who has done literally nothing at the senior level, continues to get called up. This guy got 1 goal in MLS last season. 1. We're not talking about the Bundesliga or the Premier League or high-level soccer. We're talking about MLS, where defenders are made out of toothpicks and paper mache, okay? Where defending is optional. Cade Cowell still couldn't do shit in MLS. Then, off to Mexico, right? Chivas Guadalajara. No, never understood that one. Why Chivas wanted a player like him. And it's been crickets ever since then. I think he's got 1-headed goal all season long, but is not even a starter for them. Baffling, right? Cade Cowell. What has Cade Cowell done? Apart from running fast at the youth level, where his physical gifts, outperformed in the U20 and U17, right? But those physical gifts aren't going to matter at U23 anymore, because at U23, they're all grown men, right? So it's just, what is he doing there? I don't understand it. Keeps getting called up. And he's not even been good for the under-23s either, right? Taylor Booth, love to see that. Kevin Paredes, probably one of the best wingers on this roster. Paxton Aronson, interestingly designated as a winger on this roster. A winger. To me, he's a 10. To me, he's an attacking midfielder. And this is a lot of wingers. This is 7 wingers, right? That French goal was deflected. It shouldn't count for shit. He played very poorly against France, Alex. Hitting a goal against, and also that's the one thing Cade Cowell does. It's so easy to scout, right? The only thing that Cade Cowell can do, and once you figure this out, it is the easiest thing in the world to stop, is he dribbles down the left, thump, 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 cuts inside onto his right, and tries to curl it into the corner. Okay? Once you know that's what he does, you just show him onto his left every time. Can't beat you, doesn't have a lot of technique, can't really control the ball in tight spaces, just a lot of running and vibes. They got to be wondering in Chivas what is going on with him. Damian Downs, a couple of people are saying he's a striker. Yeah, he can play both. But even then, 6 wingers is a lot for this team. Griffin Yao from Westerlo had a very good season in Belgium, right? Esmir Baraktarevic had a very good technical debut for the senior team in that January camp. Hasn't had the best season so far with New England, but New England are the only team in the East that is worse than the Chicago Fire right now, and Caleb Porter is bafflingly making them all look terrible. And then, Damian Downs. So the Cade Cowell hate is crazy, Untouchables. You missed the goal he scored via French to tie it up. You apparently have missed it, sir. The goal was a complete deflection. Scoring an accidental goal does not cover the weight of 3 to 4 years of data we have on Cade Cowell. Okay, we have 3 to 4 years of data on Cade Cowell. And all that data tells us is that this is a pace and power merchant who's really only successful at the youth levels because of his physical gifts. And at any pro level, even low pro levels like MLS and Liga MX, he is ineffective. Please use large sample sizes when evaluating players instead of one deflected goal in a friendly. All right. So Damian Downs hopefully will be with the strikers group. No Quinn Sullivan is very interesting. Yes. Martin Casquera Castillo. Yeah, I mean, that's probably a bit. I think Quinn Sullivan's having a good season with Philly. And Quinn Sullivan can also play central. He can play wide. I would have at least had him in this camp to give him a chance to, make a case for himself, certainly, right? At least make a case for himself. I have a hard time believing that Philly didn't let him go because they released Nathan Harriel and Jack McGlynn. So it's hard for me to believe that Jim Curtin, take Quinn Sullivan over Cade Cowell all day, every day. And by the way, I've been critical of Quinn Sullivan in the past for his lack of technique. He does seem to have taken a step in the right direction this season. I would have him. Diego Luna can play wide. I mean, Luna, if Luna's not a club decision, then Marko Mitrovic is out of his flipping mind. Because to bring Cade Cowell over Diego Luna makes absolutely no sense. All right, but this is overall a very good winger group. All right, outside of Cade Cowell, these 6 guys, or 5 guys, I guess, if you count Damian Downs as a striker, that's a good group. I don't have Paxton as a winger, but Kevin and Taylor and Griffin and Esmir. And by the way, speaking of U20 eligible, Esmir Baraktarevic is another guy that's still U20 eligible. Might not be in the actual Olympics, but then should be with the U20s. Guys like Obed Vargas. Okay, listen to some of the guys that are still U20 eligible. This is why I think you should pay attention to the U20 championship this coming summer, which is the World Cup qualifiers for the U20. You've got Diego Cochin, right? Somebody to watch. Josh Winder, who already has experience in the last Under-20 World Cup. You've got Nico Shakiris from the, also with that experience at both the World Cup. You've got Ben Kremaski at U20 level, a very, very good option. And you have Esmir Baraktarevic, very, very good. You have Keirol Figueroa. You've got a lot of good options with that U20 group. Mattia Kimboni, the center back from DC. Cole Campbell over at Dortmund. Thank you, Martin. So there's a lot of very interesting U20 prospects to be keeping an eye on this season. But let's continue. Pedro Soma, sure. Yeah, a lot of the former U17s will be there as well. Where is Rokus? I thought I put Rokus in there. Did I not put Rokus? Rokus is here with the midfielders. All right. And these are the forwards. Duncan Maguire and Johan Gomez. Yeah, Grayson Detoni, another very interesting player to watch, Martin. You're right. Noah Kai Banks. Yes. Many good players. And my reaction to these forwards, I mean, it's Duncan Maguire and Johan Gomez. Look, Johan Gomez, the guy's 22. The guy scored 3 goals in the 2 Bundesliga last season. This guy shouldn't really be with the Olympics. I'm sorry. This forward group, like our center backs, is a real problem with this team. Johan Gomez, Damian Downs should probably just play, forward. If these 2 are your forwards, just put Damian Downs there. Damian Downs has, I think, 2 goals in 87 minutes in the Bundesliga, right? And he will be in the 2nd division next year because, they got relegated, FC Köln. But, I mean, come on. He's going to score more than 3 goals in the 2 Bundesliga. Duncan Maguire is a big, hulking forward for Orlando City with very poor technique. And maybe he can rise for a header here and there. But I just, I'm not a big fan of either of these players, either Duncan or Johan Gomez. Hopefully, they bring either Ricardo Pepi to the Olympics, which really I think would tie this group together, or perhaps Brandon Vasquez could be an option. But Johan Gomez especially. I mean, Duncan Maguire, I kind of understand. At least the dude has been scoring goals in MLS. You could argue, okay, MLS is not a great league. But I mean, Johan Gomez has 3 goals in the 2 Bundesliga. Honestly, if I was going to start one of these 2, it would be Duncan Maguire. No, Pete did not just say we should start an MLS striker over a European maestro. All the hate that I get for being an MLS hater, but that's my honest opinion. But probably I would put Damian Downs. The key is Pepe. Talk to Ernie Stewart. Be like, yo, Ernie. Pepe needs minutes. Let Pepe go to the Olympics. You know, he can get a better loan option if he goes to the Olympics and balls out. Maybe somebody will come in with a big price and now you make a profit on Pepe and you're able to sell him on because you're clearly not going to play him over your boy Luke. So please, Pepe to MLS, Trusty and Walker as the center backs with Pepe up front, and then you surround them with a lot of these good quality young players, and we have a real shot to medal. But please, we really need to get, and if not Pepe, at least Brandon Vasquez. If not Pepe, at least Brandon Vasquez, because he's better than both of these 2. So this is the MLS roster, guys. I'm sorry, MLS. This is the Olympic final preparatory camp roster. I will do the live. TAC is not available on June 11th. We were going to do it where TAC does the live watch along and then I do the post game, just like we do for every other USMNT game coverage. However, TAC is not available that day, so I will do the live watch along and we probably won't have a post game. We'll see. Depending on how much interest there is in that game. If, 500 of you show up, then we might end up doing it. He keeps saying MLS. Guys, you don't understand. Don Garber paid me. All right. He gave me 2 Kinder Joy bars and an MLS signed ball by Christian Roldan. And that's all I needed. I am now a full-on shill. All right. You can just call me Pete Bogert. I am an MLS shill, and I want, every MLSer on every level of every national team because they are all better than Messi. Although he is an MLSer too now. I heard Pete has an MLS tattoo. It is. But if I show it here, I will get banned by YouTube. He gave me my own franchise. Me and Doyle Schilling. Yeah, get Derek. Yeah, maybe I'll get Derek or Brett, or maybe I'll get the AUT guys, the American Ultras Talk or something, to do the post game. But we'll do the live watch along for that game, and then maybe in the post game, or Adam, we'll bring somebody and do a post game. We'll do both. Why not? It is the summer of soccer, guys. It is the summer of soccer. We have Olympics, under 23. We have senior team, Copa America. We have under 20 CONCACAF championship. By the way, we played Jamaica and Costa Rica in the group stage of the under 20 CONCACAF championship, which serves as World Cup qualifier. So it's not something to take lightly. We're not just playing a bunch of, minnows in CONCACAF. We're playing some good CONCACAF opponents. Okay. So that's something to keep an eye on, and it will serve as under 20 World Cup qualifiers. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for being here. Smash that like button before you go, gentlemen and ladies, if there are any of you in the chat, although I doubt it. Smash that like button before you go so other people can find this stream. We really want this summer to be an opportunity to propel American soccer into the minds and hearts of the average American sports fan. So I need your guys' help, right? We are all excited, but we are not enough. We need your help and whatever you can do. If that means you smashing the like button so that YouTube promotes this video more to other people. And maybe it's not many. Maybe we catch a few rednecks from Mississippi who want to support the USA in, the Olympics. Maybe we catch that hipster in Seattle who is now thinking he wants to, support soccer because it's a low-key sport. And maybe he only starts supporting it ironically, but then amazing things happen and he starts to truly love it. Maybe, that Mexican-American is tired of watching Mexico be so bad and falls in love with Ricardo Pepi when he scores a goal at the Olympics against France. That's the winner. And maybe he starts to support the national team. We want to find as many. We want to open the doors of our tent and bring them in this summer so that we can continue to grow the game and grow the sport here in the in the United States of America. By some fans, says Stronkvik. There are channels that do that. I will not call them out by name, but I know for a fact that there are certain soccer channels, American soccer channels even, that buy views and buy followers. I'm not going to do that because I want real growth. I want real fans. I'm not trying to make my channel as big as possible necessarily. I'm trying to get as many Americans as possible to fall in love with soccer the way that we all have had, and specifically to fall in love with American soccer. Let's see, what else do we have? It was not Tack. You guys know it's not Tack. He is Mexican American Obed fan, Pete. There you go. Could be Obed. The basketball people start transitioning to soccer too. Yeah, you never know. We are not beating Ukraine without Pulisic. A pregame call-in show would be dope. So, guys, yes, every game this summer, whether, I don't know about the U20s, but definitely with the under-23s and with the Copa America, the day of the game, I know you have that day of the game sort of energy, that nervous energy if there's excitement and you want to talk about it, and maybe you don't have anyone to talk about it with in your household or in your friend group. You have a friend in me. You can come over and we're going to do, like, the morning of the game, I'll go live to sort of preview it. We'll try to bring somebody from the opposing team, but then we'll also open it up for like a call-in show and you can give your thoughts, express, basically do like a tailgate online. So something like that. All right. Thanks for hanging, guys. This is the roster. We'll see how they do against Japan on the 11th. And yes, but guys, please unmute yourself. Do you know what a pain in the butt it is to try to do these call-in shows and then people come through and they're all muted or unavailable for some reason or another? Do I think USW bring back Chingas? Says American Ultras Talk. Guys, do me a favor one last time. American Ultras Talk. I'm going to put this here so you guys know who they are. If you don't know who they are, they're two great young guys, and they talk about soccer, and they do a great job. Yet, I think they're relatively new to the scene, and they're very close to getting monetized. Now, when I say getting monetized, they're not going to be able to buy a Ferrari because YouTube money on, these tiny channels that we have, it's not going to do much. But it is a way for them to get a little bit of, coins, a few dollars here and there, maybe buy some gas or something to compensate them for the hard work they do. They do great work. I don't agree with everything about their opinions necessarily, but that's what's great about this. It's a space for discussion and debate, and they do good work. I think they're at 973 subscribers. So if they get to 1,000, then they can get monetized by YouTube, and maybe in Copa America, they can get a little money. Go smash the subscribe button for me. Let's get them to 1,000 today. They're only 27 or so away. They do good work, so go support them as well. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you soon. Oh, yeah. Big video coming out in a few days about a USMNT record, so stay tuned for that.